Welcome to the third episode in our series as we unpack PwC's latest thought leadership. Are you reporting for a sustainable future? South Africa's perspective on a changing global landscape. I'm Jan Wiese, and today I'm joined by my colleague Ronel Fourie. And you would have heard on the previous episode, we spoke about how entities could be within the scope of one or more sustainability reporting frameworks based off of laws and regulations of the territories in which they operate. Entities could also be required to provide this information to other entities based on the scoping of those entities' requirements. But today, we're going to focus on the standards issued by the International Sustainability Standards Board, or the ISSB, as well as what do those standards mean for the South African context. So diving right into the standards issued by the ISSB, IFRS S1 includes the overarching concepts for sustainability reporting, as well as key principles such as materiality, the reporting entity, and how entities treat estimates as well as errors. IFRS S2, on the other hand, is the first thematic or topical standards issued by the ISSB and focus on the information required to be disclosed by entities in relation to their climate-related risks and opportunities. Ronel, can you help us tie these disclosures into the South African context, please?
Thank you very much, Jan. So certainly the ISSB standards are set to be the global baseline for sustainability disclosure. And they also allow entities of different sizes and also different levels of maturity to comply with these standards. Now, in the South African context, these standards are not yet regulated. Well, as we make this recording, might change tomorrow. But companies are already complying with frameworks, for example, the integrated reporting framework in terms of King and also the JSE listing requirements. We also see a lot of entities preparing sustainability reporting in terms of the TCFD and also the GRI.
So considering these current frameworks that are being applied, what does the introduction of the ISSB standards mean for the current reporting practices that we see?
So certainly, in terms of current reporting practices, I think that this allows entities to provide consistent disclosure in a globally accepted framework, or a global baseline that's set through the ISSB.
And we had this conversation the other day where we said that the IFRS Foundation had also entered into a memorandum of understanding with the GRI standards, as well as the ISSB standards that are currently being applied in the South African context. So from what I'm taking away from our conversation is that entities in South Africa are well positioned to report in accordance with the ISSB standards at a future date.
No, certainly, Jan. I think what's been done, especially in terms of something like the TCFD framework, where the key pillars actually align to what's required by the ISSB, is a good stepping stone in the right direction of complying with the ISSB standards.
That makes sense. And I guess we saw in our benchmarking exercise that most listed entities produce integrated reports, and many entities also produce other supplemental reports like climate change reports, environmental reports, or sustainability reports. A common question that we've been getting is, how does the introduction of the ISSB standards affect or where those disclosures fit into an entity's current reporting suite, I should say?
So that's a very good question, Jan. And the ISSB standards want the sustainability disclosure to be part of general purpose financial reporting. So what that means is really that it forms part of your suite of financial reporting. So being on the one side your financial statements, on the other side financial sustainability disclosure. Now, the framework doesn't say where this disclosure specifically needs to be placed. It doesn't require a separate report. So what that really means is you could include it as part of one of these reports that you've mentioned. On the other hand, the requirement is for the disclosure in terms of the ISSB framework not to be obscured by other information. So that's an important consideration where you decide where to place this disclosure.
That's a really interesting point. And I guess another consideration for entities is to consider their local laws and regulations, as I guess those may indicate a specific location where these disclosures are required to be provided.
No, that's definitely true. So in order to answer this question, the Integrated Reporting Committee of South Africa has written a paper in which they propose two broad approaches. On the one hand, it's called the umbrella approach, On the other hand, the single report approach, which we touched on, where you have to just distinguish between ISSB information versus other information. For the umbrella reports, on the other hand, you would have a suite of reports, your financial statements, governance reports, sustainability reports, and these all form the spokes of the umbrella. At the top of the umbrella's point is your integrated report, which is a holistic, concise overview of the value created in the business as a whole.
Thank you very much, Ronel. Those are some really insightful comments. And thank you for joining us in this episode. We look forward to engaging with you in the future. In our next episode, we'll continue the discussion on the topical matters of materiality and the reporting boundary.